Hey guys, what's up? This is me, Prothmish K, or Correspondence King, and today I am going to make a video on a great game played by Topalov and Vladimir Kramnik. And this game was played it was played in 1900 something. It's a great example of the decoy tactic in chess, which means that you sacrifice a piece in order to deflect a piece from defending or doing something important, and then you just go and do something. Use use that advantage that you just got to try and win material or take advantage of the king. Okay, c5, the Sicilian, knight f3, and here black has a lot of options, and the most popular is d6, knight or e6 is popular too. But in this game, Kramnik played knight c6, d4, c, d, e, d, knight d, and knight f6, knight c3, pawn to d6, bishop c4, queen b6. What queen b6 does is it tries to win that knight, because there's two attackers and there's just one defender. So the piece is hanging. What is the move that Topalov came up to, he didn't have to. What is the move that Topalov came up with that didn't involve moving his knight? Well, it's not this move. Never mind. Knight db5 and pawn a6. Now, what is the move that Topalov came up with that didn't involve losing a tempo by moving the knight back to a3 and making a bad position? Give yourself 2 seconds, pause the video if you want. I'm going on. So Topalov, this is the solution. Topalov played bishop e3, gaining a tempo on the queen. And now if the queen goes back, then the knight can come into d4. So d4 is a better square than on a3 where it doesn't do anything. So this is a bad square. The knights on the edges are not good. So here he played queen to a5. And he just played knight d4. Knight e5 attacking the bishop. So the bishop has to retreat. Where does it go? The bishop goes to d3, which is the correct attacking square. You might say bishop b3. Bishop b3 is also possible, but it's not recommended because then black can play b5 and just grab all these dark light squares, and the black bishop has no white's light square bishop has no play on the queen side. I mean, even with a4, there's not much going on. Bishop d3, knight e to g4. Okay, this is Kramnik in his usual lashing out style. He's trying to win this bishop, and he probably, bishop goes back to c1. Notice that there's no really good square for the bishop. Now, bishop d2 is a mistake because you just allow a lot of tactical combinations. You allow queen c5, hanging the knight. If the knight moves, then it's checkmate. So that is one problem with bishop d2. So instead of that stuff, getting into all that unnecessary complications, Topalov played bishop c1. And this defends the b2 pawn too. So now bishop pawn to g6, fianchettoing the bishop, and what now black is going to do is move his knight back here somehow. Move his knight here and then back somehow. Get his knight on that square or this square, and then open up that huge diagonal towards the white king. Okay, so knight to b3 attacks the queen. Queen retreats to b6. Queen to e2. What does that move do? You might be asking me. Queen to b2 protects c4. In knight e5, and a common plan is to play bishop e6 and then rook over, and with the support of the rook, play knight c4 and trade off this bishop. So queen e2 makes that impossible. Bishop g7, f4. That's another idea, bringing the queen to the king side. Now Topalov is just gonna bring his pawns down on the king, even this pawn, and he's just trying to kill the king. Knight h5. That's a good defense by Kramnik, because now there's no h4 because you can't do anything. Because if you played h4, now if you play h4, if h4 is played now, yeah, okay. Let's say Kramnik played something wrong, like bishop d7. Then if h4 comes now, and if this move is played, you can have knight d5 or something, and just look at how dangerous this knight is. Queen will go to d8, and then g3. You've got, well, not g3, but I mean black's position is gotten worse. Okay, so they played knight h5. Hold on, let me just find the moves. Okay, knight h5. Kramnik played knight h5, h4, knight, no, not, well, h4. That was the variation I showed you. But you have knight h5, and then Kramnik played bishop, bishop d7, f4, bishop d7, castles, knight h5. Well, not castles, h4, knight h5, knight to d5. That was my variation that I showed you, and then we'll get into the real game. 15. Okay. Here, bishop d7 was played. Hold on. We are having some technical difficulties with the moves. Okay, knight to d5, queen d8, bishop d2, e6, kicking the knight away, finally. Now if the knight moves back, d5 square is now covered. So, then again, since when is Topalov a retreater? Again, find the move which gains another tempo, and e6, it looks like a blunder. Because now you have just, now the move, okay, pause the video if you want, find the solution. The move played by Topalov was bishop a5, exclamation mark. Queen h4 check is forced, otherwise you lose the knight. g3 and knight takes g3. g3 is a blunder. And now white is in trouble here because the queen is on freeze. The rook is under attack. This diagonal is on fire, and there are two knights around the king. So white is in pressure. Knight c7 check, another great move by black. White, he gains the exchange, but he has to take the knight. It's too dangerous. Queen takes g3. Notice how if he takes the queen here, then he can just put the king away, and the queen has no play. And this piece is just going to be picked up, and this knight is just going to come back. So he's going to lose material here. So after queen takes g3, we have king d1, knight to f2 check, king d2, knight takes h1, rook, knight takes 8. Queen takes f4, queen d2, and we have queen a2 check, queen e2, queen f4, queen e3, queen h2, queen e2, and now we have a nice check by Kramnik, bishop h2, exclamation mark. Where does the king go to? c3, queen e5, king to b4, knight g3, attacking the queen. Now this is a hopelessly lost position for white because he has, look at his king. His king is, look at his king, where his king is. This knight, even if it comes to b6, it'll do some defending, but nah, it's not that great of a protector. Queen to e1, bishop g7, knight to b6. Finally, white king has some protection. d5. Now black is just ripping apart the king's side. King a4, bishop d7, check. Knight takes d7, b5. A great move by Vladimir. Now if the king comes here, you just have queen d7 checkmate. Well, it's not checkmate, but you can't really play that. It's possible. King, but the move played was after b5. The move played was king. King b4. Queen takes d7. Queen to b6. Bishop back. Defending this c5 square. Important move. Queen takes b2. Pawn takes pawn. And rook c8. Notice how accurately Kramnik is playing. If you take the pawn right here, you are just going to lose the piece. And you have no counterplay whatsoever. And you get this open file. Queen can come here, rook comes back. Black king is doomed. So you don't have e takes d5, you have queen takes b2, e takes d5, and rook c8, which threatens a lot of dangers on the king. d e6, king back. Again, pawn takes pawn. Oops. What am I doing? Pawn takes pawn, you have to play king here. And if you take here, let's say takes, move the king out of this one. Bishop c5 was played in the game. Check. This is a great decoy. Queen c3, a5. Black king can almost resign. White can almost resign here because he's just lost his queen. This is a great example of a decoy in which the bishop acts as a decoy to bring the queen to a square where she knows the next move the black king is trapped. He has to lose her. And here, Veselin Topalov said, "I can't handle this anymore. I resign. I'm sorry, but I can't do this." Okay, so Topalov lost this game pretty badly, and Kramnik won it pretty easily, because this is hanging. First of all, this is hanging. Well, not immediately, but this comes. And if you take with the king, then the rook's sliding over, the knight can come in, and anytime. You can just, after this knight moves, this rook is up for grabs. So Kramnik won the game really easily. So, by the way, I'll be starting chess coaching in a few days. So if anybody's interested, and I'm almost an NM in chess. So if anybody was interested, please join me.